if you have gone in that direction of like labeling yourself with whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, the world will make you think that you're fucking stupid or you're not normal or whatever. That's the whole point. That's what the devil does. The devil wants you to fucking think that you're stupid, you're not capable, you can't freaking believe in yourself, you're not worthy of success. And then what happens? You stop yourself and you don't live your best life. And so you stay on this lower place of life, you know? All right, what's up, everyone? How you doing? Welcome to another podcast episode on the Luke Mind Power Podcast. It's a blessing to be alive. It's a blessing to be here. And I'm just listening to myself speak, and I'm like, man, I've said that about 50,000 times. Welcome to the Luke Mind Power Podcast. Well, actually, I've had over 360 episodes on the Luke Mind Power Podcast. So, you know, when you do something over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? Repetition is, if you want to get good at something, just keep doing it over and over again. And so I guess, and that's why I always say, I start the podcast, for anyone who doesn't have a podcast or wants to start a podcast or is contemplating it or has a business or something like that, you know, this is something that I just want you guys to know the best way. And I guess this can be relatable to anything that you want to achieve or do in your life. If you don't get started, you'll never get good at it. Like, I hear it so often. I get on calls with people all the time and I hear it. I'm not good at that. I'm not really good at that. The question is, do you want to be good at it? That's the question. Because if you want to be good at something, well, you're never going to get good at it if you don't try and you don't learn and you don't actually step into the pond. You know, many of us are like standing around the pond and we're looking at the water, or maybe we're standing around a swimming pool and we're like, oh, I wonder what it feels like to be in the water. You know, I wonder what it feels like. And it's like, man, stop wondering and just jump in the water, you know? So, and I get it because it's a constant battle that we have with our minds. And that's definitely something that I want to go deeper in this podcast, is really talk about your mind and talk about how majority of the reasons as to why we're not living our dreams and we're living in a shit relationship or dysfunctional state or whatever that is just because of the way we think about life, the way we think about ourselves, the way we value ourselves. You know, if you don't have an optimistic mindset, if you're not ambitious, or if you don't have a strong belief system, or if you don't value your freedom or your success or your peace, then it's very likely that you're going to stay in a situation that is, you know, if it is unhealthy for you, it's very likely you'll stay in that unhealthy situation because you don't value yourself. You don't value, you know, your freedom. You don't value achieving more in life. So you stay where you are. And you're just like, you have this limited mindset. You know, in my program, the Superpower Mastermind, in module 1, we talk about having a fixed mindset and having a growth mindset. And then I ask every person, every client that joins us, you know, you go through the module 1 and you look at, you know, do I have a fixed mindset or do I have a growth mindset? So when you look at that closely, it's actually really powerful because you start to pay attention. And this is what happens on the journey of growth. See, I didn't plan this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, before. I'm just going to digress. I didn't plan it. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. And already my mind is like, oh, we're going to go here now. Yeah. We're going to talk about this. And that's the thing. We doubt ourselves as to, what am I going to talk about? I don't know what I'm going to talk about. It's like, fucking, you don't need to know. You just need to talk. Hello? Hey. You know, what's up? What's happening? What are you doing? Right? That's just how it is. And then you just keep going, you know? So, you know, having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, you know, you start to realize that in life, if you have a fixed mindset, you do not evolve as a person consciously, you know, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You know, many people may grow their business. Are they growing as a person? Many people may progress in their career. Are they growing as a person? Or are they just getting a bonus? Or are they just getting a promotion because they're doing well in their job? How are you doing mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Are you evolving or are you staying the same? And this is something you want to look at, because this is the reason And maybe I'm going to talk to not the people that are becoming more successful, more aware, more conscious. You're becoming a better version of yourself all the time. You're growing in all those areas that I just mentioned. Maybe I'm going to talk to the people that are not growing. Have you ever had, or the people that not necessarily, if you're not growing, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast first and foremost. That's for sure. You don't listen to the Luke Mind Power podcast if you don't want to grow, right? And you don't work with me if you don't want to grow. But I'm just in case, if there's anyone that's listening right now and you ain't on a journey of growth and you're just listening to this by accident, which is very rare, you guys are listening, so I'm just going to say it, right? So have you had anyone in your life that has stopped talking to you? Like, have you had anyone in your life that you connected with, you maybe knew for a long time, and then they disappeared, or they stopped talking to you, or they just weren't available for you anymore? So sure, I get it that as time progresses, as life goes on, you might get married, you might move to another country, all that kind of shit, right? Fair enough. That's fine. I'm talking about like as a person, not because they got married or not because they had to move to another country, but just because they made different decisions in their life. Have you ever wondered that whether or not people actually have distanced themselves from you because they weren't able to connect with you emotionally, spiritually, or mentally anymore? It's interesting. It's a good question to ask. It's a lot of the reason as to if that's happened to you, that most likely in many cases, the reason why the person doesn't communicate with you anymore is because they're just on a different frequency. Their emotional intelligence, their spiritual awareness, the mental processing of who they've become, it doesn't match your vibration anymore. And so they are so conscious in themselves to go, I don't really want to hang around that person anymore because they're not matching my energy, or when I'm surrounding myself with these people, they don't complement my life. I always say, surround yourself with that environment that complements your life, that adds value to you, that inspires you, that raises your vibration, that forces you to become a better version of yourself. And in some cases, like it's true, you could be triggered by some people, you could have an emotional reaction or response by some people that you're close to, that you value. And you don't want to take that as a bad thing, but you want to be conscious of, your ability to communicate in that circumstance and address what's coming up for you and be able to feel safe enough to talk to whoever's, you feel triggered by. But then remember that if it keeps happening, then it's not going to create a safe space for you to actually feel like you can be yourself. And that's why you then distance yourself, right? It's a lot of the times distance is the best response. If you're in an environment that completely, consistently, continuously doesn't empower you or doesn't inspire you, or there's no connection anymore, and you're feeling like, this is like, I'm just not feeling connected anymore to this environment or to these people, then naturally what is going to happen, you're not going to feel good. And first and foremost, you'll become aware of that. Because as you grow, if you're on this path of personal development, self-discovery, evolution, becoming someone you've never been before, growing, then you're going to see, this is the thing. When you start doing this work, when you start growing, when you start evolving like a caterpillar to a butterfly, give you some context of understanding what I'm saying, growing, transforming from a butterfly. Butterfly used to be a fucking caterpillar. Right? Caterpillar had to be born, right? It was a worm or some shit, right? And there's evolution, okay? So this is the same thing with us. And so as we evolve, there's work that you do, the work that you do to help yourself grow as a person, that is personal, Like when you work on yourself, and this is the thing, there's a lot of us, millions of people out there that have never worked on themselves. They've worked on their businesses, they've worked on their careers, they've worked on being a better parent for their kids, but never worked on themselves, right? And so why this is such a personal journey, when you decide, I'm going to invest in myself. Like, let's just say, for example, you wanted to work with me. You said, you know what? I've been listening to the Luke Mind Power podcast for so many years. I'm ready to work with Luke now and his team. I want to do the work. He keeps talking about the program, keeps talking about the Superpower Mastermind. I need to do something about my life. I need change. Let's say you came, right? there's a lot of time that you're going to invest into you. Now, when you do this work, and it's personal, man, like you're researching yourself, you're becoming aware of your thoughts, you're becoming more emotionally intelligent, right? You're taking control of your mind. Now, you're building a healthier, loving, more connected relationship with yourself. This is personal. You're becoming aware of what blocks and trauma and insecurities and fears and doubts you have that you've been carrying, some suppressed energy and emotions that you've been holding on to for a long time. This is personal shit. So when you go deep into this journey of personal transformation for yourself, it becomes such a personal journey for you that you value it. See, this is what I'm saying. When you don't have value within yourself, it's very likely you won't leave a toxic relationship. It's very likely you'll stay in the same job for the rest of your life. It's very likely that you won't even see anything else that could be better or different in your life. You just stay where you are because you don't have that value. But all of a sudden, when you do this work, when you start pouring into yourself and giving to yourself, it becomes precious. You cultivate inner peace. You cultivate inner freedom. You cultivate more confidence. You become someone you've never been before. It's the biggest gift. You realize then you're a miracle. You're looking for miracles and you're like, where is it? It's like you are. And so then what happens when you go into environments that don't complement your life, that don't bring you peace, that constantly trigger you, constantly bring you down? Guess what? Because you've done so much work, you become so sensitive to external energy. And when something is off and it keeps being off, you don't muck around with that shit. You get yourself as far as possible from that environment and you don't go back. And then part of the process is, and it's not easy, it's hard, but you got to love people from a distance. Could be family, could be friends, could be people you know for a long time. Eventually you have to go, my peace is more important. You know, they say blood is thicker than water, but in this case, when you're a person that's on a journey of transformation, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if it's family. It doesn't matter how close you are to these people. If they disturb your peace, guess what? You're going to love them from a distance because you know how much you took upon the journey before you started working on yourself. You know what kind of life you lived before. And then when you started doing this work on you, and you realize how much energy and how much time it took for you to come back to being this new version of yourself, you ain't not just going to let yourself go into some environment where people don't respect or appreciate you, you know? And this is the thing. You start to protect your peace. You start to protect your energy and you start to distance yourself. You start to remove yourself from anyone and anything that doesn't inspire you, that doesn't add value, that doesn't lift you up, that doesn't fuel you, doesn't bring you peace because you got there. And once you got there, that's it, man. Anybody that doesn't bring that to you, guess what? You're sending a message. And your message is, if you can't evolve, I'm leaving. And this is the challenge in many relationships, you know, because the purpose of a relationship is to grow. You know, it's to grow together. You know, and sometimes each one of us, you know, like we might get stuck at some point. I heard actually Matthew McConaughey talking about this as well. And he was saying, you know, like, don't leave your partner behind. You know, there's going to be phases in the relationship where sometimes they're going to be stuck and you're going to be growing, you know, and you got to like lend them a hand and reach out to them and check in and see how you can help them, you know. Not just turn around and just say, well, you're not growing and you're staying the same or you're going backwards. I'm just going to leave, right? But for sure, there will come a time that if there's no sort of change, if there's no intention, if there's no action from your partner or from your friend, for example, like I'll tell you a story about myself and Danilo. You guys know my best friend, Danilo Gravina. He's a DJ in Australia. And I remember a conversation I had with him probably 2 years ago. And I said to him, I said, bro, I said, listen, I said, I'm growing. I'm moving up. And I said, You've made a lot of progress. You've come a long way. You've supported me. You've had my back. I've had your back. We've bounced off each other for many, many years. I said, but if you don't grow and I outgrow you and I don't feel that connection anymore, guess what? I'm not going to stop myself because you're not growing. I'm going to keep going, and I know in that moment, that was a bit of a trigger for him. I just know it, that was hard for him to hear because we've been so close for 20 years. We've been best friends for 20 years, but I'm just not willing to sacrifice my potential because somebody else doesn't want to grow, because somebody else doesn't want to keep investing in themselves. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to understand, guess what? Some people are meant to come into your life for a season. Some people are meant to come and teach you something that you needed to learn, and they just came for 6 months and you never see them again. Some people came into your life for 20 years because they needed to trigger you, they needed to hurt you, they needed to take you down a specific road so that you could learn some valuable lessons. And then guess what? You move on. A lot of the times we get stuck with thinking that the people that we grew up with are the people that have to stay in our life forever. And it's completely up to you what you decide to do. But again, your decisions are going to affect how much you grow, how much potential you tap into, and your peace. But when you really become consciously aware of this growth journey and becoming this better version, becoming more self-aware and really becoming who you were born to be, you do. It's just a part of it. You become more vulnerable. You want to connect with people that can connect with you. You don't want to talk to anyone that can't actually create a safe space where you can actually be yourself. That's the kind of people you want to be around. It doesn't make sense for you to feel like, you have to be in a space where you can't talk. You can't be yourself. You have to shrink yourself, or you have to, talk bullshit or be sarcastic all the time or whatever. There has to be some depth in the conversation. Now, you will pay attention to this because you'll see how it makes you feel. And, this is a part of the journey. It's happened to me on many occasions, even at the beginning, and at the beginning, I just started growing, but I was relentless, I was just like, man, I'm done, man. I gave my life 13 years to all the boys, all my mates. And I was just like, man, I'm doing this for me now. I'm gone. I ain't giving no explanations. I ain't going to go to everybody's house and go, hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm not going to be around anymore because I want to focus on me. Actions speak louder than words. And if any of the boys that I used to hang around with go look for Luke Chlebowicz, they're going to find me. They'll find me on social media. They'll find me on YouTube. They'll find me on all over the fucking internet. If you want to know what Luke's doing, go and look on Google, But again, there are times in your life where, you got to let some stuff go. And whatever's not serving you, whatever's not empowering you, whatever's not helping you get to where you want to go. And sometimes the truth is you don't even know where you want to go. You don't even know where you're going. A lot of the times that's what stops most of us. We're like, I don't know where to go, or I don't know what to do, or whatever. I'm just like, I'll tell you straight away, if you're looking for direction, work on yourself. I saw a quote on Instagram. It was talking about, if you feel like you've lost yourself, I said, come back to yourself, work on yourself, work on your personal development, work on self-love, work on becoming a better version of yourself, work on, the inner work, and work on whatever you feel you're being blocked by, or whatever you're thinking about constantly, or you haven't worked on. Fucking it's here in you. Understand yourself better. A lot of the times our dreams or our purpose is just underlining from the past of different painful experiences that we haven't overcome yet. And we're using our jobs, our businesses, our escapes, whatever it is that you're escaping, that you're focusing on constantly, is sometimes can be part of you running away from actually a deep wound that you haven't healed, which if you do give a bit of light to that, it could be a powerful purpose that you didn't know you had. A lot of the times people will ask, how do I discover my purpose? And I'm just going to use myself as an example. I mean, is there such a thing as a purpose? I mean, what is the purpose of life? What is the purpose? And I think one of the greatest things that anyone can do as a human is just to give back. What is the purpose of life? To give. It's not an apple tree is not going to grow apples and then hog all the apples for itself. It's going to say, well, I've grown all these apples, and so I don't want anyone to take the apples. It's like, no, the tree grows the apples, and then guess what? We take the apples and eat it. What a blessing. So it's the same thing. It's about you, discovering your gifts and what it is that you have to offer. And a lot of the times when you do work on that deeper past of ourselves that we haven't overcome, you're able to help others achieve the same, which is what I do, And for me, it was definitely overcoming the fear of public speaking, which was just really clearly for me identifying the lack of self-confidence. That's what I was lacking. Very insecure, very self-conscious about my physical appearance, and I lacked that confidence. So I was always scared to communicate, and I always thought people were looking at me all the time. So I'm a bit of an introvert as well. And then I was really shit at school, and I wasn't getting good marks, and I had a very short attention span, and I couldn't read, if you want to, whatever you want to label it with, ADD. I feel like probably now I still have ADD or whatever you want to call it, dyslexia. But, I've stayed away from the labels though, I've stayed away from the labels, I'm just, I know a lot of people are like, I just want to know, I just want to understand myself better, or I just want to know if I'm on the spectrum, or I just want to know why my mind is like this. Or a lot of people I've spoken to as well have got a lot of peace because they're like, oh, I did a test and I'm on the spectrum. I'm like, oh, great. And it's almost like I kind of feel as if, and I'm curious, maybe you can tell me your thoughts, like share it in the comments. It's almost like we're looking for something, like we need to be told that this is our situation or this is our problem. And because we now have been identified by people who have researched human behavior and the mind and all that kind of stuff, now we are a part of this community or this group. I mean, my friend Chlebowicz, he's like one of the biggest guys on social media with, ADHD content. And I watch his content, and the thing is, like, the videos he makes about ADHD, they're all relatable to me. Like, I watched them and he's like, he says, people with ADHD, and then he's doing stuff in his content. And I'm like, yeah, I do that, but I guess the difference is that I don't then say or identify myself with that, and he's already said, he goes, you're on the spectrum, bro. You're on the spectrum. And I'm like, okay, so I feel like, what do we want? Like, what do we need? There would probably be more severe cases. I can appreciate that, and I understand that, you want to figure yourself out and figure out like how to treat something if it's really bad or whatever. But I think there's also room for, in a sense of, I like to stay away from, I like to understand myself, of course, but I guess I'm comfortable with who I am. And I guess what I'm doing is, like, I know that we want to be part of something. We want to be part of something bigger than us. And I think a lot of the times, because we don't have that confidence in ourselves, or we feel that we're different, or we've been judged. And this is the thing, when you've come from rejection. So for example, if it was difficult for you to learn, you had a short attention span, you were always in trouble, right? If you think about that, then that's going to create a lot of doubt in your mind. And so if you grow up with ADHD or ADD, then naturally what you're going to grow up with thinking that there's something wrong with you. And so you're going to look for answers. You're going to go out there and you're going to look, where am I? How do I join a community? How do I, So we're looking for surrounding ourselves with a like-minded space that gets us, because we also lacked confidence. We've been rejected. We've been talked down to. We've been pushed around. We've been abused, right? And so then we find a community or something that we can identify with that's like, oh my gosh, I've got ADHD. Now I understand why I act the way that I act. In a lot of the cases, we've been abused, we've been hurt, we've been rejected, we've been bullied, and we've grown up with no self-confidence. And so now with no self-confidence, we feel like shit, and we think that we're not normal. We think there's something wrong with us. So we're looking for identifying what it is that's wrong with us. And then we get these parts of, like, what have been created to, like, help us to, like, go, well, that's who I am, or that's what I have. And, like my brother-in-law was telling me that he's partly on the spectrum or something like that. And he's highly, intelligent and all that kind of stuff. But if you'd never mentioned that to me, I mean, I'm just chilling and we're talking that normally. I don't even look at it like that, you know? So the reason why I'm sharing this is because I want you to, if you do, or you're on the spectrum, or if you do have ADHD, or you've labeled yourself like that, or whatever, I just want to remind you that you're good. Like, you're not fucking dumb. You're not stupid. You don't act stupid. You're not like, you're just you, you know? So if I can leave you with any message from what I've just gone into is like, I guess don't think that if you have gone in that direction of like labeling yourself with whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, the world will make you think that you're fucking stupid or you're not normal or whatever. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's what the devil does. The devil wants you to fucking think that you're stupid, you're not capable, you can't freaking believe in yourself, you're not worthy of success. And then what happens? You stop yourself and you don't live your best life. And so you stay on this lower place of life, you know? So I hope that, you know, from what I'm sharing, you know, this is inspiring you. This is helping you become more aware, you know, to really own your story, own your life, you know? And I get it. Like, we look up to people that inspire us or that are doing something that we want to do, right? But don't become like them. You know, you're not here to be like anybody else. Allow yourself to just go through a journey of self-transformation and discovery, and don't think it's too late either. Like, if you think that, oh, I'm 45, I'm 55, I'm 65, I'm 70, it's too late. It's never too late. It's never too late to look deeper into your past. Never too late to look into more of understanding who it is that you truly, truly are. It's never too late to heal your wounds and heal from the past pain or trauma or struggle or whatever happened in your childhood that affected you for many, many years and maybe caused you to make decisions that you maybe wouldn't have made if you didn't go through that shit. You know, it's never, ever, ever too late. You know, I've had clients that have joined us that are 76 that have been on anxiety medication for 30 years. And then because they do the work with us, they come off those medications. Like, that's ridiculous, you know? And, you know, and that's why I just love what I do, because, you know, we don't know what we don't know. And if we just keep living the same way and we keep thinking, well, I'm too old, or I can't do it, or it's not for me, or whatever, guess what? That's the mindset that doesn't change. That's the mindset that doesn't change your life. So we have to create this open possibility that change is possible, that it's okay to be different, and it's okay to make a decision one day to pack your shit up and fucking leave and do your own thing. That you don't owe shit to no one, right? You know, this is the thing. If you can be an example to the world, be an example of putting out good energy out there, doing good to others, don't expect shit in return. If the right people are meant to stay in your life, guess what? They'll nurture the relationship. They'll take care of you. You take care of others, they take care of you, right? But don't do shit and wait and be like, oh, you know, I did that, so I'm going to wait until I get something back. Just, that's how you attract good shit into your life, because you just keep giving, you know? And whatever's meant to come and gravitate towards you and meant to stay in your life, it will naturally flow. You don't have to force what's meant for you. It will naturally be there, and it will feel good. You'll know because it will feel good. Make sense? Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me for another podcast episode on the Luke Mind Power podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy this, please share it with your friends. If you, wherever you're watching, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or wherever you're watching, you're tuning in, make sure you share this with your friends. Share it with more people. Help more people be inspired and to, you know, not give up on themselves, because it's there's a lot going on around the world constantly. And if anything that I want to promote and advocate for, ladies and gentlemen, is to really be a little bit more disciplined with how much you expose yourself to out there, because the amount of information that there is that is accessible right now at your fingertips is a good thing, but also it can be very, very bad as well. And what I mean by that is that because we have everything so easily accessible, that means we're easily manipulated, and that means we're easily programmed. So the less that you consume, the more that you'll be able to be in control of your mind. You're listening to the Luke Mind Power podcast. wherever you are around the world. I'm sending you a lot of love. Make every day a masterpiece. Thank God every day when you wake up in the morning. Okay, be grateful for your life, that you woke up again. Thank God every night before you go to bed that you had a great day, that you had a productive day, that you're alive, that you're breathing, that you got clothes to wear, that you got a bed to sleep on, that you got a house over your, a roof over your head. You know, the gratitude is the key to your success, man. Be grateful, be grateful, be grateful. Just keep practicing that gratitude every single day. It will change your freaking life. I'm sending you a lot of love. Don't give up on yourself. And remember that if you do or are interested in working with us and you want to see what it would look like to actually do some work on yourself, maybe you want to grow confidence or build self-love or work on your communication skills, you want to become a speaker, maybe you've got some deep trauma that you haven't healed and you know that that's blocking you, then all you need to do is get in touch with us. There's definitely a link down below, or you can just go on our social media platforms on Instagram or Facebook and just send us the word transform and we'll get back to you with some more information. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next episode. Peace out. Don't give up. I'll see you soon.